Hello, and welcome to
Papi Approved Movies.
My name is Papi.
And I'm Natalie.
Our podcast will review and critique my favorite PG-13 movies.
Movies that I wasn't allowed to watch until I turned 13.
Every other week, Natalie and I will watch a new PG-13 movie.
And I'll see if Papi's movies live up to the hype.
Which, of course, they will.
Today we're going to be watching About a Boy.
Before we begin, there will be spoilers. If you haven't seen the movie and don't want it to be spoiled,
press pause and come back when you're finished. Now, Papi, tell me the deets on this movie.
Okay. About a Boy came out in 2002 with a runtime of 1 hour and 41 minutes. It's not streaming anywhere. We had to rent it on Amazon. It was written by Nick Hornby, Peter Hedges, and Chris Weitz, and directed by Chris and Paul Weitz. Main stars are Hugh Grant, Nicholas Hoult, and Toni Collette. Fun facts, the title of the movie is based on a song about a girl, a song from Nirvana. In the book, Marcus and Ellie bond over Nirvana, not Mystical. The lead singer of Nirvana, Kurt Cobain, also commits suicide. Remember that song I told you we were listening to that day? I told you to remember the song?
No.
We were listening to some music, some Nirvana music, and I said, remember this song? And you're like, what for? I'm like, just remember it.
I didn't remember it.
It was about a girl. So they made this movie called About a Boy because they had a Nirvana reference in the book that the movie's based on. So what did you think of the movie?
It was good. I was confused, though.
You were confused? What was confusing about it? The most straightforward movie of all time.
And there were some parts that I thought were a little unfitting. But overall, it was a good movie. A good, cheery movie that I liked.
All right. What do you rate it?
I give it a 4.5.
Wow. You really liked it. 4.5 stars. Haven't heard you give any... You know what I realized? You're not action. You're not funny. You're all about the romance.
I wouldn't say this is a romance movie, actually.
Really? This is a love movie.
No.
Yes.
Not a romance.
The two main characters find love interests.
No.
All right, we'll get to it.
This is not a love movie.
This is a romance movie.
No, it's not.
What do you think the keywords on IMDb are for this movie?
Family.
Okay.
And I don't know.
Family. That's all you think. All right. Let's see. Here are the keywords, the genres. Comedy, drama, romance.
See how it starts with comedy and drama?
Yeah, but it's still romance.
No.
Romance is in there.
No.
Thank you very much. I win, you lose. But you loved it. You love romance movies. I guess that's what it is. You're all about love.
I like comedy more.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
The last 8 comedy movies we watched, you weren't into at all.
Because they were not really comedy.
They were hilarious.
No. Why don't we get into the recap?
Okay.
But before we begin, a brief content warning. This movie has topics of self-harm.
The movie begins with Will watching TV and hearing the quote, "No man is an island." He disagrees because he has no personal entanglements whatsoever. He doesn't work for a living and only seeks shallow relationships. Do you think no man is an island?
No.
Do you think we are all no islands?
I think we're all islands.
So you agree with Will in this movie?
Yeah.
You think we're all an island separate to ourselves?
Yeah. And then we come together and become a giant, beautiful land.
So we're like cities on a map?
Yeah.
Okay, so not an island.
No, it's an island.
The islands are solo. They're
yeah, but sometimes they're solo and then a volcano goes off and then the islands connect.
They're no longer. It's still on one island.
No.
But more people on one island.
It's two islands that connect.
And they become one island.
They're not one island.
All right. I think that we are not. No man is an island. I agree with the quote. No man is an island.
I think all humans are islands.
Okay. So we're all just independent. Only one person. You don't need anyone else.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Okay. Really? You think that way? You don't think family's important? You don't think relationships are important? You don't think...
They are important, but they're not necessary.
Wow. Dark situation. I think you missed the point of the movie. Why'd you give it a 4? You saw the end of the movie, right? All right. Let's keep reading. All right, let's keep recapping. We meet Marcus, a little boy who lives with his single mother, Fiona. She's very depressed and cries all the time in front of him. At school, Marcus is teased and bullied.
A note on this. Why do some parents feel the need to embarrass their children?
The whole I love you.
Yeah. What was the point of that?
Yeah, she walks him to school.
He wasn't even being rude. Like, I know...
let's get to that. So there's a scene where Fiona takes Marcus to school, tells him she loves him in front of all his peers. They begin to laugh at him. And then she asks him to say it back. Right? That's what you're talking about?
Yeah. Here's what I was saying. Marcus wasn't being a little brat. He was just like, bye, Mom. Love you. I'm going to go to school now. And then she's like, waits for him to walk into school a bit. And then she goes, I love you. Like, okay, what was the point of that? Like, he wasn't even being a brat in it. Like, in the first Spider-Verse movie, his dad does a similar thing, but that's because he's like being rude and he doesn't say it in the car and he just walks out, like he slams the door in his dad's face. Like, that is justified in my opinion, because it's like he did something to provoke that response. Marcus didn't do anything. Marcus was just being sweet and saying goodbye, and she felt the need to embarrass him. So
here's the thing. In the Spider-Verse movie, the dad said it over the loudspeaker, right?
Yeah.
So he said it to embarrass him.
No, but he said...
He embarrassed him on purpose.
Exactly, but he said... he was in the car, the two of them. He said, I love you. And then Miles was like, okay. And he slams the door and he runs out. Right. And then his dad's like, okay, well, this kid's being a little brat now. Sure. So he does it over the loudspeaker. It's justified then because Miles was being a little brat.
I think Fiona didn't do it to tease him the way Miles' dad did. I think Fiona just said, I love you. Because they said goodbye to each other. And then she says, I love you. And as he was walking in, everybody can hear. And that wasn't embarrassing enough, but she wanted him to say it back. Kind of like, say it back. What are you doing? And then he does say it back. And that's when he gets embarrassed. But I don't think she did it on purpose.
I think she did.
You think she did it just to mess with him?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I think she just needed that little love. Just wanted to make sure she heard it one more time before she left. I'm not sure. Maybe. All right. Anyways, later on, after he does that, he actually breaks out into a song in the middle of his class, and everybody starts making fun of him for that. I also think that wouldn't be something people would make fun of.
No.
I think people would just be like, what are you doing, man? You know,
no, people would just start laughing, but they wouldn't be like, haha, you're stupid. They'd be like, haha, such funny. A goofster. What a class clown type of thing. So
it starts off the bat, but he gets teased to the point where I even wrote this out. One of his friends don't even want to hang out with him because they don't want to get teased.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's kind of messed up. Anyways, Will, on the other hand, goes visit his friend Christine to meet her new baby, Imogen. She asks him to hold Imogen, and he gives her right back. Tells Christine that I don't want to be the baby's godfather because he would be the worst decision in the world to be a godfather. She tells him to find love and start a family on her own. And Will thinks that's a terrible idea. He's an island, Ibiza. So Ibiza is an island off the coast of Spain. Like rock and roll party island. Mom's been there.
Really?
Yeah, she's been there. I have one quick question. So he has nobody around. Who's this Christine? It's not his sister. I thought it was maybe his sister, but I don't think it is. This is like his friend.
Maybe like a high school friend?
I guess, but they're pretty close. Close enough for them to ask him to be the godfather of their baby. And then also you see them, they go out and hang out later. Like they're close enough, they're friends, but he doesn't have anybody else he cares about, but he cares about Christine. So kind of messes up the storyline. Will goes on a blind date Christine set up for him with Angie. He likes her and finds out she has a kid. He pretends to love kids to hook up with her, and it works. Then before he breaks up with her, she beats him to the punch. He's super excited. Will decides that dating single mums is the way to hook up and break off easily. He goes to SPAT, single parents alone together, so they even have a little chant. He pretends he has a son named Ned to meet girls. It works because he gets a date with Susie. Will picks up Susie and tells her that his son couldn't make it. She brings her little one and Marcus. Susie's friends with Fiona and is watching Marcus until she feels better. They all go to the park.
This is where I was confused.
So, go ahead. I know you guys had mentioned it while you were watching the movie, and I'm like, what is going on? And where did you guys get confused? Go ahead.
I thought that Will and Marcus were the same person.
Just different times in their lives?
Yeah, because it was like drawing parallels like the entire time. Will was narrating and Marcus was narrating. They were each narrating parts of their lives, and it was going back and forth between the two. So I thought that it was like showing how he became this island, like all the bullying and stuff, and showing like why he's so alone. It's like he's like, I'm alone, I'm an island, and it flashes to a scene of Will's friends like telling him like, I don't want to be your friend because you're gonna get bullied and you're gonna get us bullied. So I thought they were the same person because they kept drawing parallels, and then he's like, oh, by the way, I brought someone else, this kid named Marcus, and Marcus walks out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what is happening? Why is he meeting himself?
You and Sophie felt the same exact thing, because even Sophie felt the same way. And I do
because we both at the same time went, what?
Yeah, and then I paused it. I'm like, what? Don't you understand? What's wrong with you? They're like, we thought it was the same person. I'm like, what? I don't see it.
And we didn't even talk to each other. We just like both thought that automatically.
I wonder if there is like a meta commentary in some way where we see this and he is learning from himself, like the younger version of himself. Like maybe you're right. Maybe he is the same person. Maybe Will is Marcus. Marcus is Will. And there is this like internal struggle that he goes through, and you know, he looks back on his life as a younger man and how he became the person he is, although he grows from it. So I don't think so, but maybe
I think so.
Maybe you guys can make up ridiculous storylines together. I don't know. That's pretty good. Will tells everyone the reason he doesn't work is because he lives off the royalties of a song his dad created. Marcus and Susie sing the song and Will cringes.
I also thought this was fake.
Why?
Until like halfway through the movie, when I realized that he was actually living off the royalties of the song, because I thought that was a lie. And I thought that he was cringing because he knew that it was like a lie.
Right.
Because it took a while for him to think of the song, and then he said it, and then they started singing.
He was embarrassed by it.
He didn't want to say it, and then he said it, and they started singing, and he was like, oh God, which I thought meant like, oh, it's not mine, like, please shut up.
Well, there's, I think, a scene where he's like, well, I tried to do something new. I told the truth. There is a preface before he tells them that he's going to be telling the truth, but...
I thought that was him being sarcastic.
It could be. Will takes Marcus home, and when they get there, Fiona's passed out on her couch with vomit everywhere. She had attempted to kill herself with pills. Will takes everyone to the hospital. Fiona will survive, but has to stay the night. Will drops Marcus at Susie's house and then leaves. He decides to quit dating single moms. Too complicated. The movie took a very dark turn right here, especially with Fiona, which we saw crying earlier, but we didn't know that was kind of the move she was going to go forward with.
This is also another part where I was concerned, because at first I thought that Marcus had a mental issue. I thought that Marcus was like schizophrenic because
why?
because
he's Will? Are you still with that idea?
Okay, I kind of gave up on that idea, but I still had I think that's just like drawing parallels. I think that's just like to prove a point, but he's not the same person.
Right.
But like he didn't seem like a kid that would get bullied. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't doing anything too crazy to the point of getting bullied. So I thought like, okay. And then he like burst out into song and then didn't realize. I was like, okay, that's maybe like he imagined everyone was singing or something. And then like they were at the lake and he like looks across and he sees his mom, but she's not there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, he just like, that was like a schizophrenic like vision. Sure. And then he also kills like a bird with like a bread.
But that was an accident.
By like throwing it at the bird.
He was just frustrated with his mom.
Which was just confusing to me as well. So I was like, maybe he has like a mental illness where he's like seeing things that aren't there or hearing things that aren't there. And then the vision, it didn't really make sense in the context of the movie, in my opinion. Because I still can't really explain it still. But it's not like he was sleeping or anything. And it didn't really have anything to do with later on.
No, I think the vision was like a premonition, like a feeling that something wrong is going to happen. It was just something that his mind came to. The duck he killed on accident. So he had a loaf of bread his mom made, was made of like rocks. It was terrible. It was like, a very healthy loaf of bread. He was just angry. He was trying to cut the pieces off to feed the duck. Couldn't do it, so threw the whole thing. Didn't mean to kill the duck. Gets off the hook when Will helps him out. But I can see where that's the case, where he's a little bit off. But I wouldn't think he's like schizophrenic or anything like that.
I just thought that he was like seeing things that weren't there and hearing things, because the singing thing too. And also like the fact that he was just like, he was speaking weird. Like he was speaking like I don't know how to explain it. He was speaking weirdly to Will, and he doesn't speak that way in the rest of the movie. Like when he first meets Will, he's speaking differently.
Well,
maybe it's just like a comfort thing. Like he just got comfortable with him, so he stopped acting like as strangely.
Yeah.
But he had like, it was like a disdain for Will. Like he really didn't like Will.
Yeah, he was annoyed by him. I don't think he wanted to be out. He wanted to be home. Probably that's where he's the most comfortable. Probably doesn't know Susie very well. Who's this dude? And Will didn't like him because I think Will thought he was getting in the way of him trying to hook up with Susie.
Oh.
So I think Will was also, because Will's not very nice to anyone.
Will's
very
just
sarcastic.
A terrible person.
I don't know if he's a terrible person, but he wants what he wants, and he wants to be with Susie. He doesn't want Marcus in the way. I mean, he lies about it, obviously, so he's kind of a bad person in that case, but I honestly think he's just annoyed that Marcus is there. And he says so in his monologue, his inner monologue. He's like, gosh, this kid needs to go. He's such a weirdo. Like, leave me alone so I can try to be with Susie. So the next part is the part that made me the saddest, was when later Marcus finds Fiona's suicide note. So he realizes at that point that he can't do this alone. And I thought that was like rough, because he ends up reading it. We don't know what it says, but we know it was addressed to him. And we know it would be her last words that she wanted to tell him. So imagine that. I mean, that must be the worst feeling ever.
Yeah.
And I think that's where Will eventually comes to love him and finds a way in his heart to try to protect him, because what he went through is just unbearable. You know?
Yeah.
He realizes, Marcus does, that he needs backup. So he comes up with a plan to get Will to date his mom. He calls Will and asks him to take him and his mom out for lunch. Will says no, but he changes his mind. He thought it was just going to be him. Yeah. And then the mom, joined.
It felt almost like a Parent Trap moment.
Yeah, in a way. And that's what he was thinking he was doing. And Marcus said it was going well. And both of them were like, ugh, we don't want to date each other. So, anyways, they all go out. Will's not interested in Fiona at all. They go back to Marcus's house, and Fiona plays piano and Marcus sings with her. Will's annoyed and hates that they sing with their eyes closed. He prefers to have no feelings for anyone. I was thinking about that. Like sometimes when I'll sing with my students, I'll close my eyes. Like I can't hear myself unless my eyes are closed. Like if my eyes are closed, I can hear the sound that I'm making to help the kids sing along. It's so cheesy. I imagine they look at me and go, ugh. You know what I mean? Like, what is he doing with his eyes closed? But I do it all the time. And I realized it not too long. When I was watching this movie, I was thinking about I do that.
I think my biggest problem with this movie was that I overanalyzed it way too much, because I also thought that Will was a sociopath.
Why?
Because I thought...
I should think everybody's broken. Well, Will is broken in a way.
No, I just thought he didn't have like the capability to feel emotions, and that's why he wanted to be this island, and that's why he hates everyone and everything. And I was like, okay, well, he's just a sociopath. Like that's just what the movie's about, like a sociopath trying to like fit in and like try to be like a functioning member of society after getting carried through his whole life. And then it turned out he had emotions, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, he wasn't just all about himself. Eventually, I would say that we don't know what happened to Will. We know his dad wasn't very nice to him. The dad was a frustrated person because he made one great song, and then he spent the rest of his life trying to make another song, and it never worked for him. So there's a point where he wasn't a very nice person. He was always frustrated. You don't know anything other than that about Will's life. If you do like that parallel situation, running into seeing your mom committing suicide, and then writing a note to you about the suicide would make someone cold and not want to be around anybody else. So I can see where even maybe there is a connection. Maybe there is this deep connection that the author had inside that we never will know about.
And the fact that they both had issues with their fathers. Right. Like, we don't know where Marcus's dad is. That was never really touched on.
No, we do meet the dad. The dad brings his girlfriend to Christmas.
Oh, yeah, but he's
weird.
Not, yeah, that was a weird part of the movie.
Yeah. But he's not in his life. But he is. I don't know. That was the dad, right?
But that's just like Will. He's in his life. He's giving him the money, but he's like distant because he's always trying to do something. I'm telling you, they're the same person.
And then they see each other at Christmas, and Will's dad makes the Christmas song. There you go.
I'm telling you, I figured everything out except for the sociopath part. And Marcus is not schizophrenic.
Marcus is relentless and follows Will around. He realizes that Will lied about Ned. Marcus goes to Will's house and attempts to blackmail him. It doesn't work. He tells him to just go away. Marcus doesn't stop and finally annoys Will enough to let him in. He comes over every day for weeks just to watch TV. Marcus confides in Will that he thinks about his mother's suicide constantly. And all he can say is just a profanity. And then he feels bad that that's all he could say. And then later, Will brings it up and he says, I wish I could have been more. And later on, Marcus says that it made him feel better that he just cursed. So isn't that funny? They both had like, one person thought, I'm doing a terrible job helping this kid. And the other one said he's doing a great job, even though that, all he did was curse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like that part of the movie. One day, Marcus is chased by bullies all the way to Will's house. Will scares him off. Marcus says it happens every day. Will tells him, fit in and stop getting bullied. And he goes and he buys him some new Skechers. We went to the Skechers shop today. Yeah, we didn't go. You and I didn't go. But Maniac Mamacita went into the Skechers shop. She didn't end up buying anything, though.
No.
The next day, Marcus goes home in socks. He tells his mom that his shoes were stolen. Fiona's perplexed because he has cheap shoes. Then he spills the beans that Will bought them and that he's been going over there every day to hang out. Fiona is furious. As I would be too. If my little boy was going to hang out with some dude who we know to be like a single guy with no family, doesn't care about anything, it'd be kind of weird.
Yeah.
Think about that. Could that be made still today? Could you have a relationship like that where a kid goes and hangs out with him?
Well, the thing is, I'll talk about it later.
All right. Fiona and Marcus go to the restaurant to confront Will. Fiona yells at Will and accuses him of being inappropriate with Marcus. He yells back at her, saying she's a bad mom for not paying attention to him. Will tells him he'll have nothing to do with him. Then Fiona changes her mind. She doesn't want Marcus to lose his positive relationship with Will. Then Marcus invites him over for Christmas. She changed her mind pretty quickly.
I never liked Fiona.
I did like a little bit about Fiona, especially when it came to her depression. Not that I like depression, but I thought it was kind of realistic in the fact that she could
wasn't always sad.
Well, that, and then she couldn't do anything about it. She couldn't help herself from being sad.
It is one of the more well-written things of depression. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like a lot of movies are like, they're depressed and then they just show them like crying in a corner for hours and hours. But Fiona wasn't like that. She was sad, but then she was like happy and like, she was like a human. Yeah. And it wasn't like something made her sad. She just was. She was just sad. She was just depressed. And that's what makes it even harder because I think Marcus doesn't understand that because nobody can. It's not an easy thing for a child and to also understand. Marcus is literally like, what, 5th grader? Something like that. Maybe junior high. But yeah. But also, Will doesn't understand it. There's a scene later where he talks about it. Like, hey, stop. It doesn't work that way. Depression doesn't work that way. So, yeah. At Christmas, it's awkward. But she's still annoying.
Yeah, I think so. She's an annoying character. I think maybe they made her that way a little bit so that way she and Will don't have a relationship. Because I don't think that would have made any sense. Yeah, that would have been bad. Because then Will's relationship with Marcus is in spite of his relationship with Fiona. Not because of Fiona. At Christmas, it's awkward. Will gets Marcus a mystical CD. Then Susie comes over and blasts Will for lying about having a son. Then Marcus stands up for him. Will is unsure of this warm and fuzzy feeling. So this is where he says to himself, this is actually nice. This is what it feels like to have a family or to be with people that you care about. And this is where I realized that he wasn't a sociopath. Yeah. Then things get romantic. He's like the Grinch. That's when his heart grew 2 times the size. Maybe. And he realizes that what it's all about because he has affection of women. He dates like 3 women throughout the movie. But his love really falls for the boy, Marcus. Then things get romantic. Marcus meets Ellie and falls in love. And Will meets Rachel and it's the same. Rachel likes Will, but only when he leads her on to think that he has a son named Marcus. Marcus loves Mystical and sings the song at school. It gets Ellie's attention and they bond. So in the book, he's not singing Mystical, he's singing Nirvana. Marcus helps Will by going with him to Rachel's house. Unfortunately, her son Ollie threatens Marcus. He has a hard time with his mom dating. Marcus starts hanging with Ellie and really likes being with her. He tells Will to be honest with Rachel. Will takes his advice and blames Rachel for assuming that he had a son.
Classic male manipulator.
That was what is it? Gaslighting. She blasts him and he apologizes and leaves her. He doesn't try to...
I don't understand why he couldn't just be like, I have a nephew that's basically my son. Like, why couldn't he say something like that?
Or like, I've been taking care of this one kid. His mom is sad. And I love him like a son. Yeah, that would have worked, right?
Yeah, it would have been the same.
At home, Will is sad about Rachel. Fiona is sad and crying again. Marcus gets the idea of singing at the talent show to make his mom happy. He asks Ellie to help him, and she says no, social suicide. Reminds me of Mean Girls, like joining the math club. Mathletes?
Yeah.
Social suicide. He doesn't care because he wants his mother to be happy. He asks Will for help, and Will takes out his anger on him. Marcus gets upset and leaves angry. Will goes about his blank life unhappy. Then he realizes there is meaning to his life. It's Marcus. So he goes to Fiona to fix her for Marcus. So that was his thing. She tells him that's not how it works. I like that part where he thinks, okay, stop being a crybaby and be a better mom. And that's where I think depression was like kind of more realistic. It's like, you can't fix me.
That's like just not how it works.
Yeah, it's who I am and I'm going through this and I'll do my best to be here for him. But I get sad and I have sad days and I have bad days. So, yeah. They bond realizing that they both want what's best for Marcus. Then they both go to the talent show. Will wants to stop him from doing it all together. So this is the one scene that makes me a little annoyed because they rush to the talent show. He gets out of the car, she parks it, right? And then he catches Marcus right before he goes up, right? She was at a meeting that he interrupted. Was she going to miss the talent show? Like, they rushed over in his car driving like 1,000,000 miles an hour.
So she wasn't going to go to the talent show in the first place.
She wasn't going to make it. You know what I'm saying? So, like, because they both rushed out of there, she got there in time.
I don't even remember there being a meeting.
Well, no, that's where he came up. And then she said, you can talk to me in front of everybody. It's a safe place. He's like, oh, remember the time you committed suicide? And she's like, go talk to me in the other room. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
she was not going to go up to his...
Right? It's just the timing didn't work out. Because he rushed and he barely made it in time. She was parking the car. So she wasn't even in there. Eventually she gets there because she does watch the show. But like she almost misses it herself. And then he would have done all that social suicide for her.
And she wasn't even going to be there.
She wasn't even going to be there. Anyways.
But I don't think that was like actually like a thing about her not showing up. That was just like a plot hole.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think she would not show up to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when she was crying, he gave her the invitation to the show.
So she knew about it.
And she smiled. Like she kind of like had a moment of like happiness right there, even though she was crying. Will gets to the school and sees Rachel. Then he tells Marcus not to go up, but Marcus is doing it anyways. Marcus goes up and he's a laughing stock. Then Will goes out there with him. As they finish, Will goes off and starts rocking out and everyone starts laughing at him instead. He even sings with his eyes closed. Just like he was making fun of them for singing with their eyes closed. Then he gets an apple to the dome and they walk off. What'd you think of that part?
It was good, I guess.
Such a pivotal, beautiful moment where he realizes it's not all about him. That he was sacrificing himself for someone else.
I mean, there wasn't really need for sacrificing because he was already cool again.
No, he wasn't.
After Will came up, everyone was like excited.
A little bit, but they were still making fun of him. When Will started acting ridiculous, then everybody's laughing at him instead. And even Marcus is laughing because Will was just being ridiculous.
Everyone was chill. Everyone was like, okay, this is kind of cool. One kid is about to say something. Ellie slaps him across the face.
Right, yeah.
That's it. There was only one person in the whole place that was about to make fun of him, and he gets slapped.
No, they make fun of him when he's singing by himself.
Oh, but then Will comes up. And before he started doing his weird rocking out thing.
If Will hadn't shown up and the other kid didn't check it out, it was a recorder accompanist, right?
Yeah.
So he was going to be out there with a recorder. They both would have been ridiculed. They would have been harsh. But he ended up, the recorder guy was like, I'm out. I can't do this, man. I'm sorry.
And he was paid.
Really?
He gave him back his money.
He wouldn't even do it. He was just doing it for the money. Fiona thanks Marcus for the song and tells him that she'll be here for a while as they walk off. Fast forward a year and it's Christmas at Will's house. He's with Rachel. Marcus, Fiona, and Ellie are all there. Will realizes that although he is an island, he's part of an archipelago. The end. 4.5 stars. And you kind of were like very negative about this whole... It's funny how you like the movie and
I'm
then...
just confused. There's deeper meanings. There's too much symbolism in this movie.
Could this movie still be made today?
I think so.
All right.
Okay.
There's no issues of it at all?
Earlier, you were talking about how, like, Marcus was just trotting over to this random dude's house.
Right.
And that is not okay. But also, it's not like that was just like, yay. No, in the movie they addressed, they're like, you're crazy. Like, why would you ever do that? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, they went over that. Like, his mom was, like, fighting for him. And it was like, it wasn't like that was just like a normal thing. Like they made sure that it was known that that was kind of crazy that was happening.
So Will was upset at Marcus because he like, you mean to tell me your mom didn't know you were coming over every day? That doesn't change the fact that some kids come over to hang out with an adult every day.
Yeah.
Even if he had permission from his mom, that's still kind of creepy.
Yeah. And like, but Marcus, he didn't want the kid to come over. Marcus just kind of shoved his way in, and then eventually Will's just like, okay, I don't care.
But then that was maybe the first week, and then he's there for maybe months because they just watch TV together, and they just kind of cohabitate with each other because they know where they sit, they know where they stand, they kind of talk to each other, but not really. They watch the same show.
Marcus, when he's getting bullied, he walks in, he makes himself a sandwich. Like, he knows where everything is.
Right. He's been there for a long time. Yeah, that's right. He makes himself a sandwich. So he knows. He's already comfortable there. So it's not like it just happened overnight. I don't know. It's a little off. I don't know if that would still be made today. Or that would be something that we would be okay with watching still today. Anything else, maybe?
No.
All right. Does it pass the Bechdel test?
No.
It does not pass the Bechdel test. All right, Bechdel test is a test to check for female representation in movies. There are 3 criteria. First criteria, are there 2 or more named females?
Yes. Susie, Rachel, Fiona, Christine. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, and Ellie.
And Ellie, good. Criteria number 2, do they speak to each other?
I think Susie talks to the mom.
Yeah, I think you're right. Criteria number 3, do they talk to each other about anything other than a man?
Possibly yes. And it could be, I don't know if the woman has a name. But at the first Christmas party where he gets the Mystique CD, there's this grandmother there. I don't know whose grandmother this is, but she's just there. It's this old lady.
Yeah.
I don't know if she has a name. And then they said something about killing a duck. There was like, oh yeah. It was like, when was the first time you met Marcus? And Will's like, when he killed that duck. And then Fiona says, he killed a duck. And then the grandma says, oh good, we're having duck.
Yeah, okay. But I don't know if that counts, right?
Oh, but I don't think she has a name. And also they're talking about Marcus killing the duck.
Right.
Who is a man. So.
All right.
No.
So it does not pass the Bechdel test. All right. Is there anything else before we say goodbye?
No.
Thank you for tuning in to Papi Approved Movies.
If you like this episode, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcast app or like our podcast on YouTube.
We put out an episode every Monday.
If you want to see extra podcast content, follow our TikTok at Papi Approved Movies.
If you want to suggest a movie for us to watch and critique,
email us at papiapprovedmovies@gmail.com.
That's papiapprovedmovies@gmail.com. No spaces, no caps.
We'll try our best to get to your suggestion. And remember, it has to be PG-13.
Next week, Sophia will be back and we'll be watching John Wick.
And I'll be back in 2 weeks to watch Summer School.
I'm Papi.
And I'm Natalie.
See you next time.
Bye.